Oklahoma versus South Carolina, 11:45 a.m. on the SEC network. But Oklahoma is traveling to South Carolina in what I would consider their first true road game. Temple wasn't a true road game as you played at the Eagles Stadium. But the Oklahoma Sooners this year get an opportunity to bounce back. And you need to bounce back in a big way. Last year, this was the game where I felt like the wheels fell off for Oklahoma. You could say, hey, well, they lost 2 games prior to South Carolina. But you turned the ball over 3 times. You have to go back to the quarterback that you benched in the Tennessee game because of the turnovers. And it just felt like at that point, the season was a complete loss for Oklahoma. This year, you're walking into William Bryce Stadium, and Oklahoma might have an advantage. They might have found an advantage in this game. And that's what I want to talk about today. Because there's 2 things that I think can be very crucial for Oklahoma going in to win the ball game. And I'll give you a 3rd point at the end just to kind of cap it off and make it a nice little 3. Before we do that, though, as always, I want to hear from y'all. So join the discussion. Jump in the comments below and let me know if you're crazy, if you think I'm crazy in my takes. If you're new to the channel, hit that like and hit that subscribe button. We're constantly covering Oklahoma recruiting content, Oklahoma football content, and I would love to have you be a part of it. But the Oklahoma Sooners going to William Bryce Stadium to take on South Carolina. And the first thing that I think Oklahoma could do this week to give themselves the best chance to win this game is, and you're going to really think I'm nuts, but hang in there with me. I really think the running game for Oklahoma can be a strength this week. And you might be asking yourself, well, you haven't obviously watched the same rushing offense as I've watched. And for Oklahoma, so Preston, like, I don't know what in the world you're seeing. Like, you must be on something. Well, hold on here. Do you guys know who South Carolina played last week? They played LSU. LSU right now is the 112th rushing offense in the entire country. And I think a lot of people would probably look at what LSU's been able to do this season and look at who they have on the roster and say, well, that's a little shocking. LSU rushed for 193 yards that game. 193. They also allowed 285 against Missouri, who's the number 6th rushing offense in the entire country. 146 against Vanderbilt, who's the 23rd rushing offense in the country. 115 against Virginia Tech, who's the 64th rushing offense in the entire country. And 108 against Kentucky, who's the 65th rushing offense in the entire country. I look at this and I say, there is opportunity here. I think there is opportunity for the offensive line to have really hurt it after losing last week and not being able to take care of business against Texas. And I think there's an opportunity for the staff to do something new. And I don't know if that's just rotating guys in specific opportunities that allow you to succeed a little bit better in the run game. But after seeing what LSU was able to do against South Carolina last week, I believe there is hope that Oklahoma can at least rush from their running backs. It might be a running back by committee, but I think the running backs can get you at least 100 yards. If the running backs can get you 100 yards, paired with John Mateer, who could probably get you anywhere between 35 to 50 yards, it's 150 rush yards for Oklahoma. I think 125 yards in this game from your running backs and John Mateer probably doesn't. And so I think Oklahoma, just in that alone, will probably have a good chance at being able to move the ball. But what about this other advantage I was talking about? Well, if you got a chance to check the Thursday availability report, and of course we're going to get one again tonight. Tonight's Friday night for the game. You might have noticed, just like Oklahoma, South Carolina's got some offensive line depth issues. And they've got a couple guys that are going to be out that are pretty noticeable. I mean, the first one is Kaysen Henry, who's one of their starting offensive linemen. That's a pretty big hit for them. Additionally, Cedric Charrett Jr., who's listed as questionable. Listen, like, he's not one of their best, but he's a guy that's played in 237 snaps. That's a big loss for them. And then obviously not having Nolan Hay, who's played in 51 snaps. This is a depth issue for South Carolina. So for Oklahoma, where South Carolina has had a hard time running the ball against their opponents, they had -9 yards, by the way, against Missouri. Oklahoma's defense, I think, is going to have a field day with Lenore Sellers and the South Carolina offense. I think they should, just like last week, they should have had their way with Texas. They should have their way with South Carolina this week. This shouldn't be a very competitive game at the line of scrimmage on the defensive side of the ball for Oklahoma. They should be able to move South Carolina's offense, and they should be able to stop drives quickly. Because Lenore Sellers is not the greatest passer in the world, and Oklahoma's defense is still today one of the better passing defenses in the entire country. And so you kind of look at the metrics and the stats for this game. The matchup predictor, ESPN's matchup predictor, has Oklahoma favored 54.9% compared to South Carolina at 45.1%. The line opened up at -4.5 in favor of Oklahoma. It at one point was all the way up to 5.5. Now it's back down to -4.5. They do believe that the line is over under 43.5. But the question is, can Oklahoma's offense show up? And I do believe Oklahoma's offense this week is going to bounce back. You heard John Mateer all week and after the game last week talk about how he wasn't seeing it, right? His eyes weren't there. Now, obviously, I think a lot of people can agree that, hey, you didn't practice for 3 weeks. Your timing was probably off with a lot of those wide receivers. So don't beat yourself up too bad. That's kind of where I'm at with it. John Mateer is going to have a whole week of practice under his belt. It's time for him to bounce back. You don't have the Heisman favoritism behind you. Right now, you're probably really not considered a Heisman candidate at the moment. You're not having that talk right now of first-round consideration in the draft. John Mateer shouldn't have any pressure on him. Everything's in front of John Mateer to go out there and be a better quarterback and play his game. He's the whole season in front of him still. This is still a one-loss team, a 5-1 Oklahoma. Everything's in front of you. And if John Mateer is able to go out there and do what they did against Michigan, Auburn, and they're able to put together those drives, I think Oklahoma can win this game 31-13. And the score seems probably a little low on the South Carolina side. Guys, 16 points. Like, offensively, nobody scored more than 16 points against Oklahoma. And Oklahoma's offense if you go to just a air raid type of offense and you ditch a bunch of the running plays, this is still a pretty good offense. I think people are going to have a harder time than I think you think stopping the passing game for Oklahoma. You got Giovanni Gibson out there. He's back. I think that's going to be a huge target. Obviously, Jaren Kanak has been a huge weapon at the tight end spot. I think the big thing is you can't put Jaren Kanak out there to go block Dylan Stewart or Brian Thomas. But Oklahoma's got a lot of weapons at that wide receiver position. Now, obviously, with Keontae Lewis being out, I think you're going to have like a guy like Ivan Carrion, Zion Kearney step up, along with Giovanni Gibson, who's finally being integrated back into the offense after coming back from his injury. But I still really like what Oklahoma has there in the passing game. And I believe if you start to kill South Carolina in the passing game, I think the run game can open up for you a little bit, just like it did for LSU. So I've got 31-13 for Oklahoma this week. Jump in the comments below. Let me know what you're thinking about the Oklahoma Sooners' chances in South Carolina at William Bryce Stadium. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like and you hit that subscribe button. We'll see y'all next time.